Welcome back everyone. In today's session, I'm going to give you the easy explanation of Macbeth Act 1 Scene 2. What is the setting? A camp near forest, alarm within, sound of trumpets of the stage. Who are the characters present? Enter Duncan. Duncan is the King of Scotland. Malcolm, Donald Ben are his sons. Lennox is a nobleman of Scotland with attendants meeting a bleeding sergeant. We also meet Ross later in this scene, and Ross is also a nobleman of Scotland. The first scene, with its thunder, lightning and the appearance of the witches, was designed to attract the attention of the audience. Having done that, William Shakespeare proceeds to his task of exposition in Act 1 Scene 2. This scene begins the prologue or exposition. We learn of the state of affair in Scotland. King Duncan is faced with a threefold danger. Number 1, the open revolt of Macdonald. Number 2, the foreign invasion of Sweno. And number 3, the secret intrigues of the Thane of Cawdor. Macbeth, with the help of Banquo, saves King Duncan from this danger. Duncan, what bloody man is that? He can report as seemeth, it seems, by his plight, by his miserable condition of the revolt, that is of Macdonald, the newest state. Newest state, this expression means phase or development. Who is this blood-stained man? From his condition, it seems that he can give us news of the latest position of the rebellion. Now, newest state, as I told you, means latest development. The latest development of the revolt. And who is a sergeant? A man performing a kind of feudal service and fighting on horseback, next to a squire in rank. Malcolm. This is a sergeant who, like a good and hardy soldier, fought against my captivity. Hail, brave friend, welcome, brave friend. Say to the king the knowledge of the broil, as thou means you, didst leave it. This is the same sergeant who, like a true and brave soldier, fought to save me from being taken prisoner against my captivity. Welcome, brave friend. Tell the king what you know of the battle at the time you left it. Sergeant. Doubtful it stood as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. Here the figure of speech is simile. Here the sergeant describes the unsettled state of the battle. When he left the field, the issue was still hanging in the balance. Neither army had the advantage of the other. The troops were fighting at close quarters and feeling exhausted. Each side was trying to annihilate the other. The two sides could be compared to two swimmers, weak through tiredness, who hold on to each other and make it impossible for either of them to swim. So this is the simile. The merciless Macdonald, the cruel, the ruthless Macdonald, and he is worthy to be a rebel. He is deserving the name rebel. And why is it so? For to that the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. Swarm means crowd. And what is the meaning of multiplying villainies of nature? Inborn natural wicked tendencies which continually increased in number. The metaphor here is from insects swarming on festering wounds and breeding there. So, Macdonald is a cruel and ruthless person, and he deserves the name rebel. From the Western Isles of Kerns and Gallowglasses. What is the meaning of Kerns and Gallowglasses? Write down the meaning in your copies. Kerns are light-armed Irish foot soldiers and Gallowglasses are heavy-armed Irish soldiers, especially who fought on horseback and were armed with sharp axes. The cruel Macdonald, who is fit to be a traitor because all the ever-increasing mischiefs of the world crowd together in his character, to the end is reinforced with foot soldiers and horsemen from Ireland. The goddess of fortune smiled upon his miserable victim and thus proved to be the mistress of a rebel. And fortune, here fortune is personified, on his damned quarrel smiling, showed like a rebel's whore. So, fortune smiled on his wicked fighting, behaved like a whore in the company of a rebel. Like a whore, it appeared to be loving, but did not actually love. It appeared to be favoring MacDonald, but like a prostitute, proved unreal, unreliable, and MacDonald lost the battle. And why did MacDonald lose the battle? This is a result of the battle. Who is instrumental in defeating MacDonald? It is Macbeth. But all's too weak for brave Macbeth. Now, here, note how William Shakespeare is introducing his hero. The best side of Macbeth's character is revealed in this scene, his heroism and military skill. He is called brave. The epithet brave is significant. Well, he deserves that name. MacDonald deserves the name of a rebel, and Macbeth deserves the name of a brave man. Disdaining fortune, disdaining, scorning, contemptuously ignoring fortune. Macbeth contemptuously ignored the support given by fortune to his opponent. And who is the opponent? MacDonald. After the initial success gained by the rebels, they were defeated because of the bravery of Macbeth. Disdaining fortune with his brandished steel. What is the meaning of brandished steel? Macbeth kept waving in his hand his sword, which reeked with the blood of the enemy slain in battle. With smoked, with bloody execution. Smoked. You must know the meaning of smoked. The blood on Macbeth's sword was fresh and warm, so that vapor rose from it, or it smoked. Like valor's minion carved out his passage. Like the special favorite of valor, he cut a way for himself through the forces of the enemy, till he faced the slave. Who is the slave? The slave is MacDonald, which never shook hands nor bade farewell to him. After he came face to face with MacDonald, after he encountered MacDonald, what did he do? He did not shake hands in farewell to MacDonald. Instead of that, he split MacDonald from his navel to his jaws. He killed MacDonald and therefore punished him for his rebellion, till he unseamed him from the nave to the chaps and fixed his head upon our battlements. Macbeth ripped the body of MacDonald from the navel to the jaws. Note the tailoring metaphor in unseamed. Learn this. Tailoring metaphor. Macbeth ripped the body of MacDonald from the navel to the jaws, just as a tailor rips a piece of cloth with his scissors. And there are many such tailoring metaphors in this play. It was a usual practice to behead the defeated rebels and display their heads on the walls of the castle as a warning to others. Duncan, O valiant cousin, worthy cousin. Duncan is happy. Macbeth and Duncan were cousins, both being grandsons of King Malcolm. And here Duncan is very pleased with Macbeth. Now, before moving on, I would like to highlight a few more important points here. What bloody man? Bloody means bleeding, we all know this. But why is this word so important in Act 1, Scene 2? This word bloody reappears on almost every page and runs like a red thread through the whole piece. In no other of Shakespeare's dramas is it so frequent. So we have bloody man, and then again we have bloody execution, and we will find the word bloody again and again in this scene. King Duncan breaks into spontaneous admiration when he addresses Macbeth as worthy gentleman and valiant cousin. As whence, from the direction which the sun begins his reflection act of shining, shipwrecking storms and direful, dreadful thunders break, so from that spring, break means originate and spring means source. Whence comfort seem to come, discomfort swells. Comfort, cause of satisfaction, here the hope of victory. Whence comfort seem to come, discomfort swells. Discomfort, danger, and swells come to overwhelm us. So the metaphor is from a flow tide which destroys rather than fertilizes. Just as from the time when the sun begins to shine brightly, terrible thunderstorms that cause shipwrecks break out, so from this happy situation, which seemed to be a source of comfort, danger gathered force. Mark, King of Scotland, Mark, observe what followed. No sooner justice had, with valor, armed, compelled these skipping kerns to trust their heels to run away, but the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage, advantage, with furbished arms and new supplies of men, began a fresh assault. What was the condition? As soon as your just cause was supported by Macbeth's bravery, these nimble Irish soldiers were forced to run away, and then the King of Norway perceived his advantage, and he, reinforced by men and armaments, started a new fresh attack, a fresh assault. Duncan, dismayed not this, our captains, Macbeth and Banquo? Yes, the surgeon says this ironically. As sparrows eagles or the hare the lion. They were no more frightened than eagles are frightened by sparrows or lions by hares. If I say sooth, if I say the truth, I must report they were as cannons overcharged with double cracks, so they doubly redouble strokes upon the foe. I say only what is the truth. When I tell you that Macbeth and Banquo were like cannons loaded with double ammunitions, for they attacked their enemies with redoubled force. Except they meant to bathe in reeking wounds or memorize another Golgotha. What is Golgotha? Golgotha is the place where Jesus was put to death. In Arabic, Golgotha means a skull. Hence, figuratively, Golgotha is a burial place or the land of skulls. Here the sergeant is too wounded and too weak to complete his sentence. Perhaps he intended to say that Macbeth and Banquo's bravery was so great that he could not tell what it was they were aiming at. But I am faint, weak, my gashes, my wounds need to be attended. Cry for help. Duncan, so well thy words become thee as thy wounds. They smack of honor both. Go get him, surgeons. Exit sergeant, attended. Who comes here? Now, here comes Ross. As I told you, Ross is another nobleman of Scotland. The worthy Thane of Ross, Lennox, what a haste looks through his eyes. So should he look that seems to speak things strange? Your words are worthy of you as your wounds, for both are equally honorable. Go take him to the surgeons and exit captain with attendants. After this comes Ross. It is the honorable Thane of Ross. His very looks express his hurry, as of one who is about to tell us wonderful news. Now tell us, Ross, what do you want to say? God save the king. Whence camest thou, worthy Thane? From Fife, great king, where the Norwegian banners flout the sky. Banners, flags, flap insultingly and defiantly, and fan our people cold, strike terror in the hearts of the people of Scotland. Norway, the king of Norway himself, with terrible numbers, with a vast army, assisted by that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor, began a dreadful, a dismal war, conflict, until that Bellona's bridegroom, Macbeth, lapped in proof, clothed in good armor, point against point, confronted him with self-comparisons, point against point, rebellious, arm against arm, curbing his lavish spirit, insolent spirit, and to conclude, the victory fell on us, until Macbeth, being clad in armor, forced him with a courage that challenged him, and opposed the arms of the rebel at every point and checked his insolent spirit. Thus, to bring the story to an end, we came out victorious. Bellona is Roman goddess of war. Macbeth is being represented as having married Bellona and therefore as being a great soldier. Each and every description given by the sergeant and Ross, each description is very, very important. Learn these descriptions. Duncan, great happiness, he is very happy. Ross, that now Sweno, the Norway's king. What is the name of the king of Norway? Sweno. Craves composition. He wants to make peace. Nor would we deign him burial of his men till he disbursed at St. Com's Inch $10,000 to our general use. Sweno, the king of Norway. What is the name of the king of Norway? Sweno. He wants to make peace, and we did not permit him to bury his men until he had distributed at the island of Inchcombe $10,000 to be spent by our soldiers. The mention of dollars is an anachronism because there was no dollar in Macbeth's time. Dollars were first coined in 1518, some 500 years later. So this is an example of anachronism. Duncan, no more that Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Go pronounce his present death, and with his former title greet Macbeth. I will see it done. Duncan, what he hath lost, noble Macbeth had won. Exeunt. What is the meaning of this? According to Duncan, the Thane of Cawdor will no longer receive their favor. Go and proclaim his immediate death and greet Macbeth with his title. And Ross says, I will have it done. According to Duncan, once again, the Thane of Cawdor has lost that which the noble Macbeth has won, the thaneship of Cawdor. Here Macbeth is greeted with the title which was used to be the Thane of Cawdor's title. Ross will convey this new honor to Macbeth. The scene closes on the note of Macbeth's glorification. It has given him already the first place in our thoughts, and we await his appearance with curiosity. The last words of the scene, what he hath lost, noble Macbeth hath won, is significant. The last words of the scene, referring to the transfer of Cawdor's title to Macbeth, recall the witches when the battles lost and won. The battle which had seemed so uncertain had finally been won by Macbeth. With it, he has won a new title, but it was the title of a traitor, and he himself will shortly be false to the king. He defeats two external threats to the kingdom of Scotland, but will ultimately succumb to the third threat, that within himself. He will fall prey to his own greed, and he will do something which will lead to his downfall. This is the significance of Act 1, Scene 2.